All right, all right, all right, all right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dee Delgado. You are here with another episode number 22 of the full set. And we are here with Hoodoo Hussy.
Yeah.
My esteemed guest, Hoodoo Hussy. Hey, boo.
Hey.
I just want to introduce you because everybody know you and love you. I was telling you offset when I was telling people that you were coming, everybody was in love. I was like, this is great. And so I just want to introduce you and say the Hoodoo Hussy is a root worker and priestess with roots in Mississippi and Baltimore. The granddaughter of sharecroppers who picked cotton and pulled corn, not too far from the legendary crossroads. She came back to this mortal coil to help people minister and be in service to her community. She uses her ancestral birthright of hoodoo as her foundation to support those in need. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I'm hyped. This is the highlight of my day, for real, for
Look
real.
at my nose. Look at my nose. I don't know who to be. I really hope whoever just rang my bell just opens the door because I sent a text to the group message. Thank you. Jeez. So anyways, so welcome to the show. I'm dead ass excited to have you. Um, I wanted to talk with you about something that was extremely important to me and to you that I just found out. So this is what I'm working with right now. I don't know if you can see
Girl,
that this I
I'm
just I'm a
it's
different person.
I for me, getting my nails done is a joy that I feel deprived of right now. I know that there's so many other things that we're all thinking about and worrying about. That's something that was part of my self-care practice. And I always would get a color that would bring me joy. So even if I'm feeling low on a particular day, I would look at that manicure and I'd be like, hey, these nails are hitting. And it would make me feel like good. So now I'm just like, I don't have fine motor skills. I am blessed in many different ways. My hands are blessed, but they're not, I can't do a manicure like my manicurist can do my manicure. So
Did you break yet? And when I say did you break yet, what I'd like to know is if you've gone the route of ordering nail product from CVS or
um,
Walgreens or from the Amazon even down with Amazon,
um,
but sometimes you got to order from them.
I have purchased some nail products. Trying to get my gel manicure off took 3 hours. I was not ready. I was like over there
I thought it
just
was just me. I thought it was just me with that struggle.
it was very hard. And I just had that moment when I realized that I had to cut my nails because they
Yeah,
weren't gonna
I got
survive.
two left. I've been dipping one at a time. I got two left.
So yeah, I'm just like I don't know. I'm gonna be bootleg and try nail stickers for the meantime. I need something, and painting nails and letting them dry traditionally, it doesn't work for me. I'm too, I may seem all like cute and
You're
genteel, but
beautiful. Cute is not the word. I don't even know
I'm
who I
very,
am speaking to you right now.
very rough with my nails. So that's why I had to get like, I would get what they call, my salon calls a strengthening gel manicure. So it made sure that, your nails remain strong underneath that gel and stuff so that they weren't like weak and everything. But I'm just like, well, they'll grow back when it's time.
No, they won't actually. And so we're just gonna have to wait for the not even the quarantine to be over. There, my so you were telling me about the nail salon that you go to, and I identified with that story so much so because my best friend just opened a nail salon not even like 8 months ago. And it's in like Schenectady, New York, and I used to drive from Boston when she was inside of this white lady salon just to support a black business and know that, my nails were going to be taken care of with good product. And you were telling me that you got a place.
I
It's
do
so
have
hard
a
to find a place.
listen. I went through a few different places, and there was one particular place. I'm like, I realized that there was a reason why I was supposed to go there, because she told me about a nonprofit that now I'm working with that is, helping to assist me with some of my business stuff. I realized that's why the ancestors brought me there. Because when I tell you the manicure was raggedy, raggedy, I was just like, did I
Hey.
just pay all this money? Did I
Right.
just pay like $60+ for this manicure that is popping off after a week? Like after a week? So but I realized there was a reason why I was supposed to go there. So
I thought you was about to tell me you pulled a Foxy Brown. Because Foxy Brown do not play about her nails.
no. All I did was text the owner like, hey, I already have a nail that fell off. And so then I went and got it put back on, and then two more fell off. And I was just like, well, this is not for me.
You're like, it's
But
done. It's canceled.
yeah, it's done. The mission was accomplished in terms of me connecting with this nonprofit. But then I found my soulmate nail place, and I was like, so I've never had a better manicure ever. And I was like, yes,
My
Black woman owning
soulmate
this
nail
salon.
place.
And it's like a green salon. Like they use like the products that don't have like the certain types of chemicals that are toxic and everything.
Right.
Very cute in there. So
Come on, look at your Ashe. Look at your Ashe. Come on. So I wanted to talk to you about your name. And so I've come across you, Hoodoo Hussy, and I'm like, what is this ethereal being? Like, when I emailed you, you emailed me back. I was like, shut up. Like, so I was just feeling really blessed. Like when you say that you traveled through the Mississippi River and across it, right? What is the importance of hoodoo in your life? What is hoodoo and why is it important?
well, when I say I trap my juju, my ashe made its way across the Atlantic from those ancestors who came. And a lot of times one of my big things is like, I honor those ancestors from the continent, but I honor my ancestors who are here as well.
Yes.
So those that were enslaved, they were on this land, and this land became an adoptive homeland, you know, and they took what they already knew, their knowledge about how the earth works, about how plants work, how animals, work, everything, nature, the central beauty of nature. They took that knowledge because really our ancestors, they never considered themselves above any of these things. It was just like, we are a part of this whole thing of this earth. We're just another manifestation. We're another being. We're sharing this earth with all these other beings. And these beings have spirits of their own. The tree has a spirit. This
Right.
roof has a spirit. Everything has a purpose. And our ancestors knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And the ride, the very traumatic ride across the Atlantic, did not erase their memories. Like it wasn't all of a sudden we were a blank slate when we came to what we now consider, the United States, the Americas.
Although colonizers would have us believe that we were easily programmable.
Yes, when in fact, they were actually out here taking some of us from certain ethnic groups because of our knowledge set. Some of our ancestors knew how to cultivate rice very well. It was the agricultural knowledge. Some of them were iron workers. Like it was very strategic. It wasn't just labor and they don't know how to do anything. Oh no, they knew exactly what they were doing, bringing knowledge that they didn't have.
Right.
So I really, when I'm thinking about, honoring my ancestors and everything, like hoodoo is the manifestation of the enslaved Africans' experience here in the American South. That's what it is. And it's about taking that knowledge from different ethnic groups, that came over, and the immersion of that, and us using that to support ourselves in our daily lives, to fight, to poison our oppressors, like all the things.
I love this conversation. This is my favorite song.
Yes, I'm like, whenever they're like, yes, shout out to our ancestors who killed their, oppressors. I'm like, straight up, straight
Right.
up. That's the energy I'm moving in.
Mm,
So, my family on my mom's side, straight up Mississippi Delta, hotbed for hoodoo, hotbed for the blues, which is basically the gospel and text of hoodoo.
right.
And so when
Ooh.
I was, you know,
There's a song about hot foot powder I thought I heard.
there are a few songs about there are hot songs about hot foot powder. There's songs about putting spiders in people's dumplings. There are live
I feel personally attacked right now because I love my dumplings.
there are whole songs about a whole bunch
Okay.
of things. Mojo hands, you know, all sorts of things that were regular life. And I just feel so honored to be part of that legacy. And part of the reason that Hoodoo Hussy, because a lot of people think Hoodoo Hussy is a persona. I'm like, no, no, no. Hoodoo Hussy is just another manifestation of me.
Oh, I'm
Um,
glad we're talking about manifestations. Come on, boo.
like Hoodoo Hussy is about honoring my ancestral birthright of hoodoo, the spiritual belief system, the religion of African Americans. And the hussy part was about honoring my sensuality and my sexuality in a
Mm,
way that I feel that Black women and femmes have historically not been able to. I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with being a hussy. Ain't nothing wrong with being a hussy. Ain't nothing wrong with being a hoochie mama, a hot girl, all the things.
yeah.
I ain't gonna let nobody shame me for that. In my mind, Hoodoo Hussy got her own juke joint.
Come on, Suge. Come on, Suge.
Oh, folks always say that. They're like, "Oh, you remind me of Suge Avery."
No, I think it's the way that you just have like this really the way that it's not even the way that it might be everything about you. I don't know. Like, it's just the way that you talk. It's like it's not the way you speak, it's the way you talk. Like, it's just you have this very soothing, it's like an elixir to the eardrum. Like, so I love that you're talking. Just keep talking.
Thank you so much.
When you say it's your ancestral birthright, that hoodoo is your ancestral birthright, can you explain upon that? And I'm asking because last night we ended the show, I think it was 9:30, but I didn't get off the phone with Nikki until like 12 a.m. in the morning. And she said, quote, "You are doing yourself an injustice by not offering that medicine because it's an elixir for both you and the person you're sharing your gift with. So what
Yes,
does that mean to you?" You're like, yes.
yes, absolutely. When I'm doing different preparations, root work for healing, for helping, for uplifting, for supporting, whatever it is, for protection, me doing that work is a balm for me. I'm like, for me, that birthright, that knowledge, the gift that was given to me from birth, it's about community. It's about how can I use the gifts that I was born with, whether it be root work, whether it be, all the different things that we can be gifted with. How can I use that to uplift my fellow person? How can I use that to honor my ancestors? Because when I help other people, especially folks who look like me,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that is a way that I am honoring and offering to my ancestors this gift that I have, this knowledge, the spirit of the things that all of our ancestors did to survive. I feel like it's my responsibility to use that to help folks thrive. And I don't think it should be kept to myself or just to a select few. For me, I believe that I came back because I've been here before. I believe I came
Mm,
back, and that is my mission to help heal, uplift, and minister. So, however, I can do that, when people tell me that something that I prepared with my hands has helped them and how it has affected them and brought them joy or brought them happiness for whatever the outcome it was, that brings me happiness. And, if we all can offer our gifts to each other and it just be a constant feedback of us
Right.
all doing that together, we could just accomplish so many things.
And you and I were talking, thank you for that. You and I were talking about that briefly offline, is that, when I first called you, I had told you I was going to call you an hour or two ago, and it's just been a day. Like, we don't have to go into it. It's just been, and it wasn't a bad day. It's just been a lot of like pandemic and then like responsibility and then emotions. And then it just kept stacking. And, I was able, you like provided this space for me to be able to talk about that. And it was like you didn't absorb it, but you like saw me and you were like, well, you're doing a lot. To like, and I was like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I
Well,
am. Like,
so I said that Dee Dee was out here being a superhero.
well, I was not gonna repeat that, but okay.
I was going to repeat it because it's true, and I just gotta, speak truth to power. That's you were over here uplifting people in the community and helping them and supporting them in a very stressful time. So listen, I gotta give you your props for that.
Thank you. And I was just reflecting just like the hoodoo, the juju that's in the ability for Black femmes and like just and non-men and like the lineages that we come from. When we get together, it's like this energy. I don't know what type of energy it is, but it's also balm. It's also that elixir, right? That is also the medicine. And I
Yes.
went, and I was telling you, I was like, I did not even think that this conversation was going to go well. I say that every time about everything, but I'm like, no, this is terrible. Like, when I used to do poetry and I used to host, produce, and promote the shows. And, my friend, she was in business with me and she'd be like, this is going to be great. Aren't you excited? You look so beautiful. And I'm like, no, because no one's going to show up like this. That,
Oh,
even though I had done the work, I still had felt that there was failure on the horizon. And when Black femmes and non-men get together and like speak about those failures, I feel like the acknowledgement that they might have existed, that they can exist, but that we'll be experiencing them together. Like, I think that there's like a deep power in that. And I wish we could harness that power more,
there is. And there is um there is a woman, a Black woman, who makes sweatshirts and t-shirts, and it
Mhm.
says sisterhood is a form of therapy.
Mm,
And I would just take it to the next level and say siblinghood, because I want to be inclusive to
of
those who
course.
don't identify as she, her, or as a woman, but women and non-men. Siblinghood is a form of therapy. There's so much power when you bring together Black women and femmes and non-men together who are on a similar vibration, a similar energy. Just being in each other's presence is power, and it's soothing and it's healing. Like, I wish you could have seen it last summer when
Tell
outside
me.
was open. I got to tell you this because it was so powerful. So you know um one of my sisters in burlesque, she lives near Rockaway Beach, so she
Okay.
organized a whole Black woman double dutch on the boardwalk get together. So just picture, like, I think it was maybe like 9 or 10 of us, Black women, just being in our full pleasure and joy. Some who didn't know how to double dutch, some who did.
And
Just
that would be me. I don't
listen,
know. I know how to jump rope. That's it.
I did it a little bit, but
You did it a little bit.
I did it a little bit growing up, but I wasn't like great at it. But
Mhm.
it was just the power of all of us coming together and just being able to like be in each other's presence. It was very soothing and healing and powerful. I mean, folks were like, what's going on over there? Because we were like all on the boardwalk and we're all spread out on the beach. It was just even if we didn't say a word, just sitting there and enjoying each other's company and having so many things that we can relate to and talk about and feel together. It's just, there's nothing like it. Literally nothing like it.
Thank you. I want to talk about, you were talking about the siblinghood of burlesque. I want to talk to you about two things I've noticed. So the first thing is the first time I ever heard of burlesque, I probably heard of it before in negative connotations.
Mm,
But the first time I've ever heard of it in a positive light was actually from a Black woman. I don't know if you know, but it's Miss Right Now Rouge on Insta. And then also
I know Right
there,
Now Rouge. I mean,
okay.
not like personally, but like she's in like I know her through my mentor. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And so from my understanding, she was also from the Capital District and like or has like flitted back and forth. And then there was a woman, she is also Black and she was deaf and she was doing burlesque dancing on Insta, like or showing her clips. And I
Mhm.
was like, this is dope. And then I was like, I followed you for Hoodoo stuff, and then went to your page. I was like, like this is just so amazing, like these displays. And so I want to ask you just like to demystify and debunk stuff. Like, what is burlesque dancing?
So, if you ask like 10 different people, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. But
Right.
I could say that burlesque is an artistic expression on the stage that normally involves an element of striptease. Historically, burlesque has been part of variety shows when it first came on the scene. But now there's many shows where burlesque is standalone. I think right now, what we're seeing is sort of like a lot of things is neo burlesque, and it's really people coming together and expressing themselves in different ways. And I have to say this because I think, many times people are surprised when I say this. I'm like, it's not always sexy. Many times it is, but there can be burlesque that's sad. There's burlesque that's political.
Mm,
Political and social commentary, cultural commentary. There's, serious acts. And then there's, sexy acts with, sequins and, body rolls and stuff. It
the
runs the
tassels.
gamut.
I'm excited by the tassels.
There's tassels and there's also assholes.
What?
You know, there's like people do tassels on their,
On their
ass cheeks.
booty,
Mhm. Yeah,
baby.
that's
I
fair.
want so I want to talk about body and we're gonna go into a couple of things. So like in your bio, I was looking at it and there's a term that I didn't, it's not in your bio, sorry, it's on your website because I was like flitting around. And there's a term that begins with an E. It's the type of burlesque that you're doing and that or you went to school for. And so can you tell me how to pronounce that word? I'm gonna try to type it out. And also like what
Ecdysius.
say it one
Ecdysius.
Ecdydius.
Ecdysius.
Ecdysius burlesque.
Yes. So, um, to kind of explain how that even came about. So my sort of going into burlesque, Brown Girls Burlesque, they have a workshop called Peeling into Burlesque. It's on hiatus. We're reworking things right now, but I took this class along with some people who I considered like my closest friends and burlesque sisters. Now we took this class. It was, I think, like six weeks of a workshop where you're really learning like burlesque 101. You're learning how to take off your clothes sensually, how to strut, how to pose, how to make a costume, how to make your first act. It's really just going from like, like there's couch to 5K, it's like couch to the stage.
Mm,
So this was like a lot of people, I don't think I truly understood what burlesque was until I got to my first class. I just thought it was like shimmy and fringe on a
right,
stage because we have like burlesque the movie and all that stuff. So
right.
I wasn't quite sure what it was. So when we got there, my mentor, who is Chicago Honey Child, she had us all in a circle and she's like, I'm gonna teach y'all how to be strippers. And I was like, really? Like, I was so
You're like,
confused.
that escalated quickly.
Right. I was like, wait a minute. But, you know, a lot of times folks want to kind of separate, like, and I just want to debunk this really quick
Come
because
on, debunker.
it's my pet peeve.
Okay.
People try to separate, like, oh, burlesque is not stripping, it's sensual, strip tease, but I'm not a stripper. I'm like, you're taking your clothes off on the stage, you're a stripper. But
I feel like stripping. It's fine.
but here's the thing though. It is not club stripping. I would say that you have club stripping and you have burlesque stripping. They are sisters, not twins, because it is different.
Right.
Stripping in the club, first of all, they get paid better. But it's different because stripping in the club, there's more of a focus of, the audience, or like the, what would you call them? Like, what do you call people?
Attendees. They're Zoom
Attendees?
attendees. I
I'm
don't
like attendees, like they're going to like a Zoom meeting.
know. Right.
The patrons in a club,
Okay. Okay.
there is like a focus on, like, individual attention and,
Right.
trying to be like, people's fantasy. It's a different sort of lens of the performance motivation, I would say. And I respect it so much. With burlesque, it's about trying to, like, obviously connect the audience and
Mm-hmm.
sorcel the audience, but you're in complete control of how you want that to be, and it's not about one particular person or anything like that. Like, you're on stage and it's choreographed. It's different. But I don't make any sort of like moral hierarchy. Like, a lot of times I think people outside of burlesque, and then even quiet as it's kept, people in burlesque try to make it this moral hierarchy. Like, well,
Right.
it's not, you're not stripping, this is artistic. And I'm like, no, stripping in the club is artistic too.
It's artistic.
Seen them?
I know a lot of artists. What did Drake say? I know a lot of artists back there.
Yes. Have you seen them? I'm like, I stand. It's just different. And, there's many people who were or currently are strip club strippers who also do burlesque. There's a lot of overlap.
Right.
Um,
I wonder if it's like poetry in the sense that, everyone's a poet who can thread together words nicely, and then there's slam poetry, and then there's like written poetry, and then there's literary poets who feel like you couldn't slam literary poetry, but you could. And like, so yeah, I think I can identify with that. Thank you.
yeah, it's like we all live in the same house of like sensual, sexual expression. Like, so I've had in the past people who were trying to like kick game, but they let it be known that they had a problem with burlesque. And even in the infancy of my, burlesque, journey, I knew that that was a red flag, because I was just like, if you have a problem with that, then
Right.
you're probably not someone who I want to spend any time with.
Right.
It's like a hard no for me.
Right.
And all the folks who, anyone who has like dated me since
I was going to ask you about dating, but I had so much respect for this conversation. I was like, can I ask her about her love life?
Anyone who has
is it hard?
Me, they had to accept the burlesque stuff. And it's funny because I know that there's folks who are like, oh my God, like, they would feel funny, I guess, in real non-burlesque life, it's maybe weird to have like your lover or your partner come and see your friends get naked.
Right.
But that's literally my life.
You're like, welcome.
I'm like, hey, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. Sometimes I'm introducing folks and they got pasties on, like, but if and it's interesting because I'm just like, that person has to accept that I'm also going to be strutting on the stage.
Right.
Other folks see me naked.
Right.
doing burlesque made me realize
It
that
must be hard to date cis het men.
I don't.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
I don't.
So happy to hear this.
But I realized from doing burlesque that skin naked is not true naked. True
Mm.
naked, true nudity is that nudity of the heart. Okay. That's like me crying in front of someone. That's me talking about my greatest fears and my trauma. It's me. Are you still there? I see your picture. I don't know if okay. I just want to make sure. I was like, what happened? Nudity in the spirit in my heart is me reading some of my writing to somebody, like the vulnerability. That's true nudity. I'm like, titties are titties, like ass is ass. At this point, hundreds of people have seen all of me except for the coochie, because be wearing thongs. Even though there are burlesque shows where they get completely naked, but I can't hear you. Turn your microphone on.
I was gonna say, does Juicy J's rule apply at the burlesque show like they do in the strip joint?
Well, please tell me what his
Okay, he
is.
said it's not as okay. I've been to Magic City. I've never been to a burlesque show, and I really want to go, but I've only seen them like on the internet or like clips of them afterwards. Juicy J is a rapper from 3 6 Mafia, and he said it ain't a strip club unless they're showing pussy. And
And
I thought that was misogynistic, and it probably still is. But when I went to Magic City, I said, God damn, this nigga was correct. Like, this was
you know what's so funny is because I know that song because I have an act that had that song.
okay, okay, okay.
Yes, I like that. So most burlesque shows, because of liquor license rules,
Okay.
you have to have that coochie covered. You could show and you have to have pasties.
Okay.
But there are some shows that have certain venues where it's allowed and people get like completely nude, completely nude.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you
I've
for
never done a
educating us.
complete nude performance. I would say the vast majority of burlesque shows, people get down to thong and pasties.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Thank you
yeah,
for
I
that.
just whenever I make friends with someone or I've dated people in the past. I'm like, come on down to the burlesque show. And then, you meet all my friends and we all get naked and we have a good time. Like,
Right. No, thank you for explaining it because like you said, like you're debunking stuff. There's a lot of myth, but I wanted to hear the facts, and I'm pretty sure everyone else tuning in wanted to hear them as well. When we talk about burlesque, for me, like watching a burlesque dancer, I think of, I can't even emulate it because I'm very sexy, but I'm more sexual than I am sexy. And so,
I think you're
but I
very
think
sexy. I saw a picture on Twitter recently. You're like, Oludumare, like, show everybody if Oludumare gave you a big body, and you were
yes.
showing all of that
I've been listening to a
body.
lot of Afro beats lately. So I was like, so it's weird because I practice Ifa. And so like hearing that song, I went like this. I was like,
Yes,
you know,
blessed.
thank you.
So no, you are very sexy. Don't even listen. Sexy ain't a dance move.
I
Sexy
think I think it's like I'm going through a stage of where I feel like sexless, and so therefore feeling sexy less or whatever. And so I wanted to talk to you about that. Like, I went to a show with the same burlesque dancer that I was telling you about that I came across who's deaf.
Mhm.
She was hosting a sacred sensuality class, and I was like, I'm fucking tonight. Like it was Valentine's Day. I was like, this is gonna be great. And it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. I was like, I paid for this, and it didn't have sex with anybody, but it's fine. I could have watched xnxn.com, xnxx.com, whatever, and it would have been great. But I mean, don't go to that site. Send me money instead. Thank you. So, anyways, so I go to the class, and she had asked us to define what pleasure is. And you know me, like I can be very adult and also I can be like juvenile and in my play sense, you know. And I'm like, sex and pleasure are synonymous to me. It's also things I don't get enough of pleasure. Like when I think of having sex, I have to take control of my own pleasure just because I'm programmed to make sure I get everything I want out of the experience. But during taking this class, I feel like I learned what pleasure was in different ways. And I guess, like you said, 1,000,001 people could sit here and have this conversation about pleasure. And that's what we did. We went around a circle and it was like so many different people's experiences with pleasure and what that meant. People were talking about their parents. What does it mean to you? I was like, why are you talking about your parents and pleasure? But what does it mean to
Yeah.
you? Look at your face. You're like, oh, okay.
No, because like I think one of the reasons why folks are drawn to me is because I in terms of my life, I'm just very pleasure focused. I'm like
Mm,
whatever brings me pleasure. Sex is one thing that brings me pleasure, but you know what? Like a really juicy ripe mango over the sink with the juices dropping all over my face, that's pleasure too.
right.
um you know, being with my plants and connecting with the earth, that's pleasure. I think pleasure is anything that nourishes your soul, nourishes your spirit, brings you joy in a pure, unadulterated way. I just, I think there's so many ways to experience that. And, you know, I just, pleasure manifests itself so many different ways in all of our lives. And for some people, sex isn't even in the top three for them in terms of their pleasure.
No, I thought that that was that was actually pretty prolific. So like when we were talking about pleasure, we were like focusing on ourselves first, and I was like, no, this is not what I came here for. I'm about to get me some pleasure. Give me 1 second. Hello. So this was you know, like this class, it was like we were to take shea butter and like rub our bellies. And I was like, why am I doing this? And the explanation was like, most people have this weird sorted, doesn't matter your size. And we're going to get into size and
Ooh, let's
conversation.
talk about it.
And so I was like, no, because I have a B-shaped belly, which even during my pregnancy made me feel very uncomfortable because I wanted one of those pregnancy bellies that was like beautiful. And I was just like, and here I am looking like the capital letter B, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm sure you look gorgeous.
no, I looked amazing, but I still had this like subset in my head, like this is not what my pregnant belly is supposed to look like, you know? And but we were rubbing the shea, and so shea has this very distinct scent, you know? And so I was already feeling like the effects of the shea butter. And then like having to give myself affirmations and tell myself, Belly, I love you, it actually made me like tingly, but not just in my vagina, like in different parts of my like my brain. And like I'm like experiencing this the sensation of pleasure by like adapting to like this newness that was in myself. I can't believe I'm even having this adult conversation, but
I love it.
adapting to this newness in myself, like, you know, and I'm like, as a plus size femme, like it's really difficult for me to engage in pleasure without other people. And so that exercise was actually really meaningful to me. So
That's awesome. I am so pro the belly. I just think that, you know, as women and femmes, like there's such a stigma on any sort of visible belly. And one of the things that I love to do, I love erotic art. I love it. And one of the
mhm.
sort of like aha moments for me, there's this really amazing erotic art museum in Miami in the art district, World Erotic Art Museum. Such a huge collection. When I'm roaming through the different rooms, I am seeing representations of uterus owners and their nude forms. And guess what? Bellies abound. It is
Right.
sensual. It is only within probably the last 100 years of humankind that we decided that this is something undesirable. It is very sensual. It represents fertility. Like when you look at all the different, um, you know, presentations or representations of fertility and beauty across civilizations, okay, all across the world, there are bellies. There are
Right.
full bellies. There are fat bodies, full breasts, full hips, full bellies. It does not make sense. You can't, we have this like thing where everyone is supposed to be full everywhere except for the belly. That doesn't make sense. That's not reality. And, you know, I believe in people having agency over their body. So,
Yes, agency.
listen, if folks want to do certain things, I ain't mad at it. But I'm going to say that there needs to just be equal respect and love for people who choose to rock with what they naturally got. That's it.
So when we talk about this thought, I think about my partner now, right? Like he's very narrow. He's like this big, right? And like the size of my pinky finger. Thank you, baby. And I think about myself and how I don't look like anybody he's ever been with, right? Doesn't matter, doesn't care. But I also think about the ways in which like I draw people to me, right? Like I think about like how myself, my full self is like the best self, right? And how I had to get into that. It wasn't just like the self-esteem class I took one day and I was like, aha, I've arrived, right? It was a constant reimagining myself as my best self, even while at my size. And I was talking to you earlier about um, how you're a nutritionist, right? But you're not the nutritionist that I'm used to. No?
I'm
Oh,
not.
sorry, not that you're not a nutritionist. I apologize. I really
No,
bad.
no, but you're on the right journey because I'm in school for clinical nutrition.
I'm here for it.
So I
Can
am.
we manifest that right now though? Can like they just say that you've got your credits, they need nutritionists, just like they needed the doctors. They need nutritionists to come on. Cuomo's gonna give you your credits. It's gonna be great.
I'm excited. But it's one of the things that I'm very passionate about. I am in school for it. And I one of the things, it's been a very hard journey. First of all,
Tell me what's been going on, boo boo.
it's been a very hard journey. This is why. Nutrition and dietetics is 97% white female, upper middle class. So I sometimes am the only person that looks like me in a class.
Right.
There are a lot of microaggressions. There are a lot of folks who are of the opinion that, Black people just want to eat their fried chicken and don't care about their health or whatever. And these are verbatim. Like that
Oh,
was
they
a
said
real,
that out
that
loud
is a
in
real thing that
classes.
they said in
I'm
my
gonna fight them. I know some bitch in
I
Bushwick too.
I wanted to fight so many people. Someone else said that kids in Bed-Stuy, but they meant Black kids. In
Right.
Bed-Stuy, they don't know what fruits and vegetables are. They don't even know what a banana is. Like,
Wow.
there's some, they go do their like community service because they need to do that to qualify for their internship. That's
Right.
part of what you need to do to become a registered dietitian, to get the credential. Kind of like registered dietitian, just like registered nurse, different things.
Right. Right.
So they go and they do their community service. They come in our community. They have no cultural competency. They don't have any
Ooh,
Black friends.
baby.
So they come in with their opinions and their bias and their prejudice. They bring their food that nobody wants. Okay.
Their potato salad with raisins, boo.
They bring carrot sticks with hummus, and they don't understand why a 60-year-old Black person doesn't want to eat that.
Right.
They don't understand that our diet was plant-based before the Great Migration. Okay. And that our food is different regionally. And quiet as it's kept, traditional African American cuisine is very plant-based.
I'm so excited about these collard greens. Everybody's been hating on me for saying collard greens. Every single show I say collard greens, but go ahead.
I know. I love collard greens. I grow collard greens in my garden plot here in Bed-Stuy. I have such a special relationship with collard greens. I'm just like,
come on, boo. Talk about that relationship with the collards.
Listen, I'm like, continue to nourish me, collard. nourish my body, pot liquor nourish my body, and also bring me the
Yes.
prosperity that I need so I can continue on this journey that I'm on. So yeah, it's been very rough because there's times when I'm just like, I feel like I'm an island in the program because the program and the field are not diverse. And you've got these very thin white women in there that just have no concept of multicultural counseling and inclusion. And
Right.
they're all just, most of them that I've encountered, they're cis het white women who come from backgrounds where they have lots of resources. So they don't got to worry about tuition. They don't got to worry about supporting themselves during an unpaid internship. Like, they got rich husband boo or rich
Right.
parents to sort of help bankroll things. So we have this industry that's very white. And every time I have felt like, I don't know if I could do this. This is
Right.
really,
Giving
I've
up.
been
Right.
going uphill, uphill. There's something that shows me like, nah, boo, you got to keep going. You got to keep
Right.
going. Um, it's it's been quite the journey. I'm connecting with different inclusive dietitians, fat positive, health at every size, weight neutral dietitians who are sharing, who have shared their experiences and have gone through similar things where it's like, you know, y'all want to talk about eating disorders, but you don't understand that disordered eating and eating disorders manifests itself differently in
Right.
women of color,
Right.
in non-men of color. There are body issues that are, you know, that happen with people who are transgender. Like, who is worrying about those things? Mainstream eating disorder, you know, practitioners are not. It's very white.
Right.
Um,
And
so
they could never walk a day in our shoes anyways. Like, even if you were to tell them, like, I do a lot of trainings. I'm just like, just give me my money because y'all are really not gonna get this anyways, or whatever. So like I do a lot of trainings about cultural competency. And I'm just like, it's so annoying. Like I've even been approached by the top I would say top 10 tech companies to talk to their folks about cultural awareness. I was like, they're never going to get it.
they're
I
not.
might change one person's mind in this room, this entire room of white people. So I just want to say that I see when you say that it's been a hard struggle, I see you. And every Black femme and non men watching this broadcast or listening to this broadcast knows exactly what the hell you're talking about. So please don't feel like you're going through it alone. I know your friends have been like rah rah and you and rooting you, and you're like, they understand me. But no, like there's reasons, and the reason why, and you know this, right? Your ancestors are calling you to be in this space where it's like, help us keep our lines going. Like, you know what I'm saying? So thank you for that work because it's a labor on you, but it's so needed. It's so needed. I love what you said about being size inclusive and every size matters.
Yes.
Why do you think that that's like, I remember being pregnant and being like, well, I was at my lowest weight. I think I was like 210. Right now I'm 270. And they were like, if you would just lose a little bit of weight, even though we can't encourage it, it would just make your pregnancy a little bit better. I'm like,
But like, fat people have been having babies
come
forever.
on, boo.
You know, it's, as I've, just been on my journey with nutrition and dietetics, it's made me really analyze a lot of the false cognitions that we have about ourselves within our community, and how much of it really stems from childhood. A lot of it stems from childhood, what people said to us about our bodies, about eating. It sticks with you and it won't go away unless you're actively trying to do the work to to confront. It's confronting false cognitions, beliefs that we have about ourselves. Like, so many people believe I am not worthy unless my body looks like whatever it is that that ideal is for them.
Right.
For some of us it's slim thick. you know, we have our different, within like the Black community, we have our different sort of ideals.
Right.
But I, I was talking to you earlier about the fact that I have PCOS.
Right.
Um, and, you know, I was diagnosed with prediabetes as a child. So I come from, you know, I come from big people, stocky people, but it was something I was like, I was telling a friend of mine, I was just like, you know, I wish there was one person in my life as a child who told me it was okay to be fat, gave me
Mm.
permission to be happy and live my life in a fat body, because there was no one there was no one who told me that. And so now when I see, you know, Black fat femmes living their best life, I love it, especially younger ones, because I was just like, you know, we live in a time with social media where there's more representation.
Right.
But when you're 10 years old and you have the adults in your life telling you that your worth is contingent on how slim your body is, it's something you're going to believe about yourself. And it's something that I hope that in my work, my future work as somebody's dietitian, that they can come to me and feel safe. Because when it comes to food and nutrition and stuff like that, it's not about your body. It's not about
Right.
what your body looks like. It's really about habits. It's like, okay, you know, maybe you know, don't smoke too much, like cigarettes.
Right.
Make
I
sure.
was so glad you clarified that because I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh, no, no,
wow.
no. No, no, no. I like that stuff.
Yes.
You know,
An
don't,
environmentally friendly,
you know,
green, plant-based diet.
no, I'm not like hating, you know, folks want to listen. My granny started smoking cigarettes at 13 years old. She's still walking around. But you know, maybe don't smoke cigarettes too much. Maybe make sure you eat, you know, some fruits and vegetables and have some plants in your life. Drink water, get some fresh air,
Right.
walk. Like those are the things that are going to like help when we're talking about like health outcomes. It ain't about getting to a certain number on a scale. That's not what
Right.
it's about. Um, you know, our ancestors have, you know, the whole world has had body diversity. Our ancestors have body diversity. Folks were healthy, fat, thick,
Yes.
beanpole, whatever it was. There's always been body diversity. BMI is fake news. It is fake news. Okay.
You know how much I've been stressing over my BMI? I went from a BMI of 34, like, you know, I had weight loss surgery. I don't, and not a lot of people know that, in 2015 because I was 325 pounds. I had the surgery. I got down to 210. And because I'm a big bitch, I'm like, I don't care what no white person says when they talk about BMI. I do have big bones because when I lost the weight, people were telling me to stop losing weight because I was actually looking not normal. Like, you know,
Right. For
I'm
your body
very,
culture.
I'm very stocky. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
All
and
of my family are stocky and I love it.
yes, come on
BMI is
now.
based on white European
I
body.
believe it. Why do you think that there's so, well, racism in medicine, but when
Yes.
it comes to something that fluctuates amongst so many different people and ethnic groups, right? Like, why do you think there's this like poorly structured regimen for like how we should be? Is that so white supremacy?
It's white supremacy.
Come on,
It's
boo.
based
I
on
love you.
compliance. It's based on averages for like insurance companies, and it's really it's not accurate in measuring anybody's health or health outcomes.
Right.
And it over first of all, I don't even like to use the O word because I don't believe in it.
Tell
Okay,
me.
obesity. I don't.
I hate that
It's a
word.
fallacy.
When they say as a fat bitch, I weighed 275 on my last doctor's appointment. And I'm like considering having a revision surgery because I have a comorbidity. I have a pacemaker and like I have like 3 heart valves. And so when I sit in my doctor's office, they be like this. I swear before God hoodoo, they be like, So you are healthy, and obese. And I'm like, make it make sense, bud.
I don't like to use the O word. I I mean, I know that people have different phrase, terms that they like to use. I personally say larger bodied. I also was explaining to my um, co-artistic director, who is pretty thin,
Mhm.
like I was saying, fat is just a description. It's not pejorative, but I
Come on.
understand why, because it has been used as pejorative. I can understand why someone who's thin might be like, no, I can't call someone fat. I'm like, well, you're not calling them fat. It's a description.
Right,
But I
right.
get how that's like dicey for people. But I usually use the term larger bodied. Um, but I don't really like to use the O word because that is pejorative in my
And
opinion.
it's also like an indicator that I'm dying. Like, you know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like,
right,
but they don't use even though there's like Surgeon General warnings on like smoking and stuff like that, they don't call a smoker a dying ass motherfucker. Like,
right.
but when you say obesity, to me that's like patient is 36, presents as obese, and I'm like, presents as dead, like, and I really hate the connotation. I like that you said pejorative because I'm just like, and hearing a woman of your stature say I'm size inclusive is more important. I wish your colleagues would actually get to that level because it's so important for folks that have thin privilege, right? Like we all have privilege. I might have a little class privilege. I'm not sure yet. I have to do the numbers. But when we all have privileges over one another, it's important to say, you know what, I might be removed from this community in inches, but I'm still advocating for the folks who are still there. Like, so thank you.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to be inclusive, and I've actually had to like sort of like check myself with certain things because I know that sometimes when people used to be part of experience and then they're no longer part of the experience, it's easy to continue to talk like you're still in the experience. And I'm like, oh no, I haven't been, and even when I was
Because
fat,
you were saying that you have experienced weight fluctuations because of your
absolutely,
PCOS.
absolutely, I have been up and down, like I mean, since high school, really,
Okay.
um, and I'm fairly short. I'm a scant 5'4".
I would have never believed you were 5'4". Your personality is just so big, bitch. I love it. I love
I'm a
it here.
scant 5'4", but
Wow.
when I graduated high school, I was 190. And I realized that now that I know certain like terms that we're all using, I realized that that still was considered a small fat, and I still, even at that size, have privilege over someone who was a larger fat, or
Right.
super fat. I think.
Even me, I'm pushing 300 pounds. But because of my stature and the way that I present, or maybe it's because the way I dress, or maybe it's a combination of all the things, I am still a quote unquote smaller fat, desirable fat person, right? And
Right.
so when we talk about someone that when we talk about Lizzo, right? And like you have all these people now all of a sudden concerned about her health, or you talk about Adele and the fact that like she just came out and she lost a lot of weight, and people are like, girl, you look good,
That
bitch.
conversation stresses me out. I
No,
can't
yeah,
even go the
it's a
fallacy.
lot.
I'm like, we're not gonna act like, and I'm not over here trying to like Kate for white women. That she'll be fine. She'll be fine. She's a rich white
She'll
woman.
be fine. She'll be
She will
fine.
be fine. But just as an example, I just can't stand when people act like thin automatically equates to more beauty. I'm like, we're not gonna act like Adele wasn't beautiful when she had a fuller body, when she was larger bodied. Like, y'all are crazy. Honestly, I feel like she does not look as good, but maybe
And there we have it, folks.
I ain't trying to hate on her or anything like that.
Right.
But if folks are gonna talk about it, I'm just like, honestly, I don't think
Do
I
you
think
feel like in our community there's more of a penchant? So like I know with a lot of my family members, if they haven't seen me in a long time and I got a haircut or I got a trim or I'm feeling fly because I like my outfit, somebody will say to me, girl, you look like you lose a weight. And I get mad because I'm like, bitch, I just stepped on the scale and I actually weigh 3 pounds more than the last time you see me.
And consider this compliment. Like, oh God, I have like so many thoughts about this because can I tell you, like,
Yeah.
I went through a severe food intoxication, and
Mm-hmm.
I got really sick while I was traveling, and I lost a, a decent amount of weight in a shorter period of time. It was not intentional. I promise you, whatever bug that I had, that thing was killing. Like, I was so sick. And so I
Right.
came back from vacation looking very different. And someone actually was like, "Oh my God, you look so good." And I was just like, actually, I've been sick. I had sometimes I'm just like, I'm gonna just like make you feel real stupid right now
Right,
because
right.
I look cute regardless. I look cute, fat, chubby, whatever. I probably, like I'm angry when people do stuff like that. I'm like, don't
Right.
act like
You're like, don't
weight
play in my
loss
face.
is some sort of like, you know, crowning accomplishment. Like, I get it's very
Mm,
complicated, but we have folks who treat dieting and weight loss like a hobby.
right.
Treat it like it's
White
like,
people done lost their minds when you told them during quarantine they couldn't go to the gym. God damn it, Carol. You know,
I got a whole name for gaining weight during quarantine. I'm like, let's worry about not catching COVID-19. How about that?
right,
How
right,
about let's prioritize? How about when you have a little extra weight that is protective?
right.
That is
Mm,
protective. Like, I get very upset because people really treat like dieting and weight loss like it's just like the hobby of the year, and folks bond over it.
right.
They bond over, I'm doing intermittent fasting. Like, they bond over the
That's
latest
so stressful. Have
keto.
you ever done that before? I wanna periodically during this quarantine. I have not done shit other than try to up my water intake, but I've been doing that 16 out of 24, and that is really stressful. So then you got 4 hours, and it's not good on your body. Like, I'm
I don't
telling you, like, how I feel, like,
I don't think I think our bodies are so different, and we all sort of try to there's these different trends, and we
right.
all try to do it. Like, I'll be honest with you, I can't be vegan. Now, I know there's somebody
Thank
listening out
you.
there who is
Thank
going to be
you.
like, yes, you can, you were doing it right. I
You're
was
like, you
doing it
mind your
right.
fucking business. I can't be vegan. I said what I
I
said.
was doing it right, but it was wrong for my personal constitution. I did not
Right.
feel good on it. I
Come on,
need
you the second Black woman that used the word constitution today. Thank you so much.
So I'm like, there's some people who could thrive on veganism, who could thrive on
Mhm.
it. Not everybody can, and we need to stop telling people that there's some sort of one size fits all. Honestly, I feel like intermittent fasting could be detrimental for many folks who have uteruses.
Right.
That's how I feel.
You're like, I'm just saying. And
That's
you're
how I
right.
feel.
The recommendation is actually for a person who has a uterus not to do 16 hours. And I get it. I'm literally starving myself, and that's really ridiculous. What I wanted to say to you is I want to thank you for saying that, because about your veganism, or your willingness not to be veganism because it doesn't work for you and your body,
At
right?
work,
So
omnivore work.
everybody and their mother is telling me about keto, how they lost the weight off keto. You should do keto. Didi Delgado, you're gonna be a bad bitch when you get off keto. And I'm like, I tried keto for 45 days and I gained 14 pounds. And I'm gonna tell you why. As a bariatric patient, someone who has their stomach literally sliced 3/4 of the way and the rest of it was thrown out, me absorbing a higher fat content of a certain gram past 14 grams a day is actually problematic. Like, I won't lose weight. I'm actually going to gain weight because my stomach has now is like 3/4 the size less than what it used to be. And so for me, like a dummy, and I know that that's ableist, but I'm a little drunk, and I couldn't think of any other word to say. I really
Yeah,
couldn't.
I
I
share
need
it
a
Thursday.
I need a therapist, or or thesaurus or one of those.
A
And so
therapist, a dietitian.
I need all of the things. So I remember when I was doing keto, I was going hard, I was exercising, the scale was not moving. And I talked to my dietitian and she was like, "You're a bariatric patient." She was like, "Keto for you is high protein, low carb, like no fat, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or low fat, like, you know?" And I was
Right.
just like, wow, I had never even considered. I was following a trend, and trends are not for everybody.
Trend should really be for nobody.
Come
I'm,
on, boo.
I'm just gonna keep it grimy. I'm gonna say this.
I like you.
Dieting, dieting. And when I say diet, because okay, the term diet just means what we eat. Okay.
Right.
But when people talk about diet, they're usually talking about restrictive dieting. Many diets, okay, are teaching people how to be disordered in their eating. It's teaching people how to have an eating disorder. And it it's just such a slippery slope. I believe in intuitive eating where you're listening to your body, you're listening to your hunger signals, you're listening to your sense of fullness.
Mm.
You are not ignoring cravings. All of these different things. Because I don't know, like once you're on a diet, when do you folks who diet don't get off a diet. You just continue going and it
I feel personally attacked by this relatable content.
I I just want everybody to heal their relationship with their body, their relationship with food. I just think we invest so much time as a culture into trying to hate ourselves, into
Right.
like having a body that we can love, and that's just not, you can't do that. You can't hate yourself into loving yourself. You have to just choose to love yourself how you are. And that doesn't mean you can't have, like, if you want to do Pilates 5 times a week because you
But, ma'am, no one's doing that 5 times a week.
do I don't do Pilates 5 times a week. I'm just saying if folks want to have their own goals and stuff like that, I'm not telling people they can't do that. But I'm also like, but you should love yourself as is. You should love yourself as is and love yourself in different iterations. Because guess what? This is all temporary. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna look like this when I'm 70 years old and I'm somebody's hoodoo crone, you know. Like I'm not gonna look like this. My spirit is the same, but all of this is temporary. So investing so much into your own unhappiness and punishing yourself and
Mm,
doing things that harm you like from the inside out, I'm telling you it's not worth it. It's not. When you're when you're in the sunset of your life, you're not going to think about, man, I really did some great diets in my time. Like that's not what you're going to be thinking about.
those diets really got me through my 20s and 30s, boo. Like,
You're probably going to be thinking about, why did I waste so much time preoccupied? I was
mm,
gorgeous. Like when I
right,
look at pictures and when I was like a teenager and stuff, I'm like, I was gorgeous. Why was I hating on myself so hard? And I know why. It was society. It
right.
was
The pressure from
the
society.
pressure. I grew up with a fat phobic mother who was a chronic dieter. I I don't even know how. My testimony is I survived that.
Come on, boo.
That is
Okay.
my testimony because I'm like, when you got your own mother bribing you to lose weight,
Right.
like the
And
fact
that's something
that
we have to unpack, right? Because you are an adult product of someone who was forced by society, because I don't think your mother chose that voluntarily. So,
she did not.
right. And so, like, forced by society, oh, wow, I'm being super adult right now. Come on. Yes, Rose, the unofficial sponsor of the full set, episode number 22. And so, when I think about, the stories that we tell about our ancestors and our parents, and how, like, that continue, it's in our thread. I think about the stuff that Egypt, I don't want them to unpack. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, me saying, go sit over there because I'm doing something right now while trying to work from home and also educate.
Mhm.
Yo, I'm telling you right now, you didn't even tell me what to do. It's fine. You didn't get into your hoodoo stuff, and that's also fine. but I already know I have to make some concessions and what comes first and what I need to prioritize. Um, and I hope that people listening like sit with the meat of this conversation. I want to talk to you about one last thing. I
Can I
know
just
that,
say one last thing?
yeah, absolutely. This is
Just
who you are.
just to wrap up what I'm talking about, because we really, I know I didn't talk about who, I mean, I talked about hoodoo in the beginning. I didn't really talk about like ancestors too much. I did, but I just wanted to say a lot of times when we're talking about ancestor reverence, honoring, all these different things, we focus on things like, having your altar set up correctly, feeding your ancestors, giving them the things that they enjoyed in life, all those things. And that is important. That's important. But I think one of the things that we don't really focus on is one of the ways that you can honor your ancestors is by your own love for self, by treating yourself beautifully and honoring yourself, because you are them. You are them. So, one of your offerings is to live your best life, to be gentle and beautiful to yourself, um, to be a good person. Like that, those are like your real life earthly offerings, and to do the things that they enjoy doing, like cooking the foods of your ancestors and your culture. That's a way of honoring it and enjoying it. Doing the activities they enjoyed, like, I mean, I know I come from like folks who love to fish, folks who love to, cultivate the earth. So when I do that, I think of them and I'm honoring their
Mm,
lives. So I just want people to realize that it's not just the ancestral shrine, it's not just
right.
the gifts that we give. It's also the way that we treat ourselves. And when we're hard on ourselves and when we're doing things that are counterproductive to our happiness and our joy, it hurts them too. So our life is an offering, and living our best life is the best offering.
I feel I like really needed to hear that. So thank you. I was gonna say something saucy, like, okay, I feel personally attacked, but no, I actually don't. I feel like the messages come through when they need to. And I'm so glad that you said yes. I sent you an email like beginning of April and you were like, absolutely, Didi Delgado. I'm ecstatic. And I was like, no, you're not. You're not gonna be on my show. And I appreciate, I've invited some, I'm focused on Black women and non-men. The very few, the one man that's appeared so far. Um, I invited him to the show because I felt like I never really heard a Black man talk about the vulnerability and like gender issues that cishet men face, and I allowed it.
Is
But
Tobias?
no, it was Damon Young.
Oh, okay.
And so,
Okay.
right. And so like everybody else, I just feel like just this weird, I say weird because it's foreign to me, like kinship, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and me being like a person that has bounced around the United States because my mom could not figure out where there's a movie John Leguizamo played in it called Where God Rests His Feet. And my mom was always looking for that place.
Mhm.
And so I've lived everywhere up and down the East Coast. And I say this to you that your journey with hoodoo, your journey with burlesque, your journey with nutrition and what that means to folks that look like us, um, and Black women and non-men, I feel like this is the healing. That is your call. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm so blessed and honored to be able to have had you as a guest on my show. I think about where you've landed, right? Because you landed on the show, but you're like not even from here, right? And so when you are a person who has like traveled around the world like you have, I want to ask you, because a lot of people come on the show and they think, oh, this is going to be weird. It's going to be an interview, but it's not. It's a conversation. Like, this is me and you kicking it and chilling. Like, of all the places you've lived, I think about your experiences abroad when you lived in, I look at the placard that's next to you and it says Paris, and I was like, you
Yeah,
look like a bitch who has enjoyed and loved Paris. And you were like, actually, yes, I have.
I have. French
I
is my
didn't
second
enjoy
language.
Paris. And I want you to share with me why you enjoy Paris.
Um, well, one thing, French is my second language. I'm bilingual. And
What?
yes,
How did we just now get to this? Goodbye.
euh, je ne sais pas,
What?
tu
I
demandes,
just know sac
j'ai pas
passe.
bien
I'm sorry.
selon.
Okay.
But you know, when I was in Paris, I feel like it was so outside of my comfort zone. Previously, I'd never lived in a big city, and I really grew as a person. But also, one of the things is very interesting because when I was in high school, I took French classes, and I remember, in the French class, in like the books, it was just white people, right?
Right.
And so, they weren't teaching us about like the history of imperialism and colonization and why someone who looks like me would speak French. Like that was not taught to us.
Right.
So I remember my first time with the French club going to France for like a week and a half. And I remember seeing Black people and just being like, what? There are Black people in France? Like, what? Like, they don't teach us about this. Like,
Right.
I didn't know about, the French West Indies. I didn't know about Martinique and Guadeloupe and Reunion Island off of off of East Africa and French Guyana and North Africa, Algeria, Tunisia,
Right.
all that
Right.
stuff. And basically most of West Africa with like, French colonization and stuff, and Central Africa as well. They didn't teach us about that. So being in Paris, I
That's
made
a poem. Being in Paris. Go ahead.
I made it my goal to connect with people within the diaspora. And even though I know that French is another colonial language, I know that. But the silver lining of that is that being bilingual in French has connected me with other people of African descent all over the world. It's been a commonality. And of course, there's certain other languages I would like to learn. I would like to learn Yoruba. Um, and, I'd also like to learn or be a little bit more proficient in general in Brazilian Portuguese, but only because I want to talk to Black people in Brazil.
Nós falamos português.
And
Hey.
I falo português, okay? That's me talking.
My dad's heritage and lineage is Cape Verdean, so yeah.
Oh, okay. I love it. I wanted to go to Cape Verde this year, but Rona won't let me be great. I was gonna do Cape Verde and then go to Dakar. But yeah, no, Paris was amazing for me because it was a time where I really discovered who I was as a person, but also I just met so many different types of people. Like
Right.
one of my good friends.
And you stayed there for like 9 months, right?
Yeah, I was there for 9 months. It's where I got my fluency. When I got there, I realized that speaking French in my high school class or whatever was not the same as speaking French in real time. So, I had to tell them, like, can you please, like, slow down? Like,
Right.
I can understand you. But after, I did not hang out with Americans. Not to be rude, but I was just like, I'm here to learn French.
No, be rude. Fuck us.
I was like, no, but it was, like, I was like, I'm here to learn French. So I'm going to hang out with my friend Mustafa, who is half Algerian.
Yes, come on, Algeria. Okay.
I'm going to hang out with my friend Simon, who is Haitian. I'm going to hang out with, I had a boyfriend there named Claude.
Claude.
Yes, he was from Guadeloupe.
I love IT. Oh my goodness.
And so, I just spent time with a lot of different people from all over the diaspora, and it just made me so hungry for more. And so, like, honestly, when I travel, I prioritize the African diaspora, like, period. I got to go to Haiti in February. I went to Cuba last year.
Yes.
I went to Salvador a few years ago. Like, I just want to go to all the places where my cousins are and see how we're living and experience the way that the African ancestors experience manifested in those particular lands.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and it's always been, it's always been really, a great experience.
I
So,
want to ask you, what does manifestation like look like on a baseline level? I mean, like, on a baseline level, what does manifestation look like? I mean, my best friend is watching right now, and for like the longest, like she was like, you have to put manifester in your bio. She was like, because I've never met anybody who is not following. I was for a long time, I talked about this off the camera. I wasn't following ATRs. And I just knew that like there was this conversation in my family, like, this one's a weirdo, like, and I used to just say, I want this thing, and I would just leave it alone. Like I wouldn't even, and it would come to fruition. And so I think about the show and how I'd given up on it, but it's actually the manifestation because I used to just let it go. I'd say before that I'd want something. And it,
hold on a second. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
sure.
Hi, can you just leave it on the front step?
That's what I'm saying. Niggas need to leave it on the front
Yes,
step.
just leave it in front of the door. I'll come get it in a moment. All right, thank you. All right, bye.
It was like Uber Eats.
Bye. No, it's do you know Fresh Direct?
Yes.
So they have like a little like offshoot of it called Food Kick.
Okay. Is
and
it
comes like same day.
Do they have a quarantine price?
I don't think they have a quarantine price,
Okay.
but I really needed vodka because I'm making a tincture tomorrow. So I had to go ahead and do an order. So
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I want to just like, I guess like leave folks with a way for them. Is it possible that you can briefly touch upon like connecting with your ancestors as a way of manifestation?
Okay. So first of all, I think one of the things that people sort of discount, like if you expect to have a good relationship with your ancestors, ask yourself, do you have a relationship with the elders who are living like, in your, I mean, I know some folks have like, drama in the family, but even just elders in your community.
Right.
Like
Okay.
who will be ancestors eventually. Like sitting with them, caring for them, listening to their stories of their lives and all the things that happened before you were thought of, like that's important too, nourishing those relationships. But in terms of your own ancestors, one of the things that I think folks sort of discount, like I know there's some people who don't have names. Like I know some people who they're like, actually I don't know about my family outside of like one generation back, or perhaps somebody was adopted, or whatever it is. And I'm like, guess what? You may not know their names, they know you because they're connected to you through love and through blood. And I always tell people, when you're praying to your ancestors, you call on the ones who are connected to you through love and through blood. There are some ancestors who may be trifling, but your ancestors that love you.
My Aunt Dolores, I already know she a hood bitch, and she's on my altar, and I've always wondered, I'm like, bitch, I know you went to jail, and I love you. Like, like bring me all the good juju, and here's your chicken, okay?
Listen. Oh no, absolutely. My great grandmother, she was something else. But I believe that a lot of my attraction juju and love juju, I truly believe it comes from her, because she stayed finding a man, child. Like she stayed finding a man and bringing them in. So I was like, that sensual juju, I feel like
right. Come on, you had when they say you get it from your mama, you might have gotten it from your grandmama. You don't know, or your grandmother 6 removed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I think people try to make it real complicated in terms of fostering that relationship with your ancestors. It doesn't have to be a big elaborate altar. Quiet as it's kept, folks already be having altars by having all the little pictures, all in the same place of like people who have transitioned. It really is an altar, even though folks don't call it that. But it really can be like It could be a candle, it could be a glass of water. Like it
Right.
doesn't have to be. I think we get caught up in aesthetics sometimes, which it's fine to want to have a beautiful altar,
So
beautiful.
someone who lives in an apartment, because I've heard this a lot. My one of my other besties was like, "Oh, my aunt, she's gonna be mad that I said this, but I don't care." My aunt found my altar, and it was this big like to do in the family, and da da da. I was
Yes,
like, "Bitch, how could she even find your altar? It better have been just a glass of water if you share a house with people who
yes,
are Christian or who
yes.
are celebrating a different religion than you.
You
Just
can
a glass
have.
of water, a candle."
I've heard of folks, having it, maybe like in their closet and pulling it out. That's one thing. Sometimes people have like a little trunk where they can like
Hmm.
close it.
Hmm.
Not. I realize, and I was talking to someone who I kind of see them kind of like as like a little brother, um, and he lives with his parents, so he can't be too loud with some of his
Right.
stuff, but you do what you can do, and really, yeah, it can be like a glass of water and a candle. Like it doesn't have to be like so much, and you don't have to like make 7-course feasts for your ancestors like every day.
Sometimes they get this Kraft macaroni and cheese. Is all I'm gonna say. I'm like, I love it. Yeah, I know y'all did too, because my mother stayed serving us macaroni and cheese.
I come from folks who like to drink, so they be getting this
Mm,
bourbon, they be getting this rum, they be getting this whiskey. I just keep fresh water out.
right.
Flowers. That's something that I really try to do, and I'm having such a time with this quarantine because I'm not able to really pick through the bouquets that I want. I tried to
Right.
get some delivered, and
You look like you put through bouquets too. Like you go to the little corner store and that the one that's like they sell bagels and coffee and also there's like a florist
yes,
outside. I'm
yes,
like,
I
you
and
look
so
like it.
the last flowers I got delivered, I wasn't very impressed, and so I was like, I'm sorry, ancestors, but I really Rona is making it a little difficult to get the
Mm-hmm.
flowers that I know you
Right.
deserve. Um, but I really like to stay with flowers and fresh water and some tobacco, liquor, and things that that your ancestors would enjoy, things
Right.
that recent ancestors enjoyed in life. Um,
I leave my mama a pecan swirl.
Listen, yes, yes. I like to cook when I have the energy. So when I really throw down, and they're getting a plate of that, I always like to give them a plate for New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Is that like the black eyed peas, the collards,
course, that is like
scrimps?
that's our national dish, and people add their own little razzle dazzle to it. They're like, oh, I also made this, I also made ribs and
Right.
whatever. But that
And
black
all that jazz.
you know, black eyed peas, collards. It could
Right.
be cabbage too. Cabbage could represent folded money as well for that
Mm,
prosperity.
we got some cabbage in the refrigerator right now.
Cornbread. I just
Cornbread. Nothing
Cornbread is
wrong
just
with
so
that.
special to me. It's like so
Yes.
good.
I want to say thank you for coming to sit with me today. This has been beyond measurable, and I know that this conversation is going to continue. You and I had spoke, and Mambo Liz is going to come on the show. Daisy October is going to come on next week. This is just, I I deserve this, and so does everyone else tuning in, and who will continue to tune in because it's going on Apple, it's going on
Absolutely.
Spotify, and I'm incredulous right now. There's one thing I'll leave with. It's a question I ask all of my guests. Two-prong question because I always enjoy this.
Yay.
And the first one is there anything that I left out that you were surprised I didn't ask you? And the second question is, who would you like to see on the show next? It could be anybody.
Um, is there anything that you didn't? Um, I don't know. It's like I feel like there's so many things that could go deeper. Like
Right.
you know, in terms of like the burlesque stuff, I would love to have talked a little bit deeper about just what it means to be a Black woman in burlesque and what it
Mhm.
means to the political act of expressing yourself sensually and sexually. when we live in a society that tells us that we need to suppress that as Black women,
Right.
or that we're indecent, or, you know, our sexuality is a threat.
You had said earlier you were calling it, you weren't saying about this, but you were like Covidiana, Tatiana, Tatiana.
Coriana,
Yeah.
Coriana.
And so I think that Black women are often seen that way, like thought came about not because of some white girls, but Black women, like,
Yeah.
that hoe over there, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And honestly, I would say that at a lot of burlesque shows, like the shows that I co-produce with my collaborator, Lauren Sky, our audience is predominantly Black women and non-men.
okay.
Because there's something about seeing someone who looks like you doing this type of conjuring of sensuality and sexuality on stage. It's empowering. And I remember being like, now it's very surreal. It's very surreal
Mm-hmm.
because I remember being in the audience, and I remember I was with a really dear friend of mine, and I really credit them for giving me the little push that I needed to actually pursue burlesque, because I was watching, and some of these burlesque performers that I saw are now I'm really cool with. They're very dear to me, and you know, we have a personal relationship. I remember watching them, all these Black women, at this show called Shades of Burlesque that my dear
Mm-hmm.
burlesque sister,
You knew that was about to be some Black shit. Shades
yeah,
of burlesque.
Shades of Burlesque, my dear sister, Sweet Lorraine. She's like my burlesque big sis. I love her. She's another person who helped to give me the push that I needed to get into burlesque. She had this show. It's on hiatus right now. I mean, well, everything's on hiatus right now. But she where it was New York City's only all black burlesque review.
Right. Wow.
So my dear friend who I went to the burlesque show with was cool with her, and she was like, let's go to the show. So we go, and I'm watching that. I'm watching these women be amazing and beautiful and just powerful on the stage with their bodies, with BTs. Like,
Mm.
I was watching, and I was like, first of all, I was tingly because it was so sexy. I was like, whoo. Now it's like I watch and I'm just like, wow, like it's more like professional, like, wow, that was amazing. But when I
You're
was,
like, okay.
but at the time before I was a burlesque performer, it was so like, whoo, I'm tingly everywhere. I'm watching them. They're just so magical, just what they were conjuring on that stage.
Right.
And I remember thinking to myself, I can't do that. I can't do that. You know, I'm not pretty enough. I can't, I'm not sensual enough. I can't do that. And my friend leaned in, and she was just like, you could do that. You could do that. And it sort of shut down the own false cognition that I'd already decided about myself, that I wasn't worthy of the stage. Like, who would want to see me? Like, I can't
Right.
do it. So I just think every time I go on the stage or another Black performer goes on stage and someone sees us and it motivates them to be more sensual in their life, or, you know, to have agency over their body or feel in control and powerful in their body, I just feel like that's just the mission. I'm like, each one teach one. Like, now there are people who look at me and they're like, how do you do that?
Right.
And I'm like, let's go. Sis,
Right.
let's do it. You want to do this? Let's do it.
Like I'm feeling like convicted. Like I want to do a burlesque dance. Like I want to do a class and like figure out like where do I fit in my own sensuality. So this has really been enlightening for me and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. And I just want to say the fact that you, when you emailed me, you were like, oh my God, you emailed back. I'm more like, wow, you emailed me. I was so honored. I was just like, I'm looking at all the people that you're talking about who have agreed to be on, and I'm just like, I'm in great company, and I'm so honored to have been invited to do this. You asked me to come talk and be on your
I was like, talk your shit. That's all I want.
I'm like, you ain't got to tell me twice. I can talk for a long, long time about these things because it's passion.
I
So
just feel like this is what we were supposed to be doing. And I appreciate you said earlier in the very first part of the show that you shouldn't be hiding this from anyone. And so I appreciate all the things. I thank you for appearing on this episode of the full set. And I'm eternally grateful. Thank
I
you.
am so grateful. I'm so honored. This has been so amazing, and I'm just so grateful for you, and I just want you to continue to feel empowered and feel just that you're on your path and you're doing the work, and I want you to feel it's not empowered isn't even the right word. Encouraged. I want you to feel encouraged because you are you are following the signs, and you you are well on your way, and you're already in greatness, and there's just so many other things in store for you, and I'm just very humbled to be able to witness.
Y'all are so good to me. And I appreciate you. This has been another motherfucking episode of the full set. Thank you, Hoodoo Hussy, and I hope that y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Peace, y'all.